Jamie Luster with Genesys Aerosystems. Jamie, tell me what's new with Genesys. You guys kind of rocked the NPI the other day, so
yeah, thanks,
let's fill me in.
Yeah, thanks. So we announced our new radio product line. We have a whole suite of new radios that we're offering. The new features that are associated with this that kind of separates it from its competitors is that it is a software-driven radio.
Second. You don't have any competitors, do you?
A few.
Okay.
But they shall remain nameless, so yes.
Deal.
And it's cool because we can do different frequencies, different watt settings. We can have UHF, VHF, nav, marker, beacon, and it's all in one slimline radio piece with a very small radio rack. And so at different price points to be able to provide the customer with whatever their needs might be. We can meet it with one simple box in a very small space. And so that's very exciting for us. And we're also coming out with a control head for that. So if it is not installed with our EFISs, for example, then a customer can install it with the control head that we're designing. Another cool thing is a hardware and a software change to our 3100 autopilot, and this changes the LCD from kind of that military green to a nice white LCD display, so it's just a little better for viewing angles, to be able to see in sun, etc., which is important for pilots. And then we're adding some new features such as the capability to have en route VNAV as long as it's coupled with a compatible EFIS and a compatible GPS. And so it's, just some new features on the 3100.
Outstanding.
Oh, I should mention, I apologize, another new feature that we're announcing is better integration with the Aspen Pro Max displays, and so we have enunciations.
Great systems right now, and boy, do they have those priced right.
Right, exactly.
See their trade-in program?
For the Maxes?
Yeah, they trade in the old boxes to get a Max?
I don't know on the Aspens. Yeah, I don't know. I know that if you have an older S-Tech autopilot, we do offer an upgrade path to the 3100 because it utilizes the same servos as it did with the 55Xs and the System 30s that are out there people are flying.
How have they been as a partner?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Excellent.
Aspen is a good partner. We're excited that people can now have that combination of an Aspen display and the 3100 autopilot and really be able to complete that avionics package in their aircraft.
There have been a lot of transitions for Genesys, obviously with some major moves in the past, as well as a number of different directions for product lines and so forth. How would you evaluate the Genesys Aerosystems position right now in the industry?
I think we're in a very unique position because we cover so many categories of aircraft. So we have very general aviation focused with our autopilots, for example, but we also can offer them into the Part 25 market. With our EFISs, it's very much special missions oriented, so military trainers and things. So we really cover a vast part of the aviation industry. It's not one small basket, which I think is unique for some avionics companies these days.
Tell me about the military market right now. It's been a curiosity to me because I watch that go in phases.
Right.
We work a lot with a lot of that community, and right now it seems like everything's up for grabs.
Yes, it is. I mean, we've done a couple of different things. So there's still a lot of the older military helicopters that are out there, like the Bell 412s and the UH-60s, and we've just worked programs to get STCs on both of that for a full avionics suite, so people can, rather than buying brand new helicopters, can take those older aircraft, turn them into a civil reg, and then upgrade the entire avionics suite to include even an autopilot on those platforms. In addition, I think you probably heard the news that we were selected as the EFIS source for the TH-73As that Augusta is working through their Philadelphia office.
Right, they just delivered the very first one just the other day.
Yep, they did, and it with our EFIS, they were able to get IFR certification on a single engine helicopter, and that's the first time that's been done in, I think, 20 to 30 years, so huge accomplishment.
Not the normal, that's for sure.
Right.
And what was interesting is that particular competition went through a really strict evaluation process.
It did.
We were talking to some of the NavAir folks who were involved in that process, and they were talking about orders from on high to be aggressive.
Yeah.
So that's a big win. That's a very big win.
It's huge, yeah. So we've been excited about that. You mentioned before how everybody's been through a lot the last year and a half. And everybody has, but we've really been able to maintain. We've not seen a huge blip in what we've been able to do because of things like the TH-73A, and we found that even in the general aviation market that people were still spending money on their airplanes and upgrading and things, so it's still been a really good year for us despite all the hurdles I think that a lot of people had to endure.
Interesting. How have things changed in light of the change in ownership?
Right now we are in a observation period, so I was lucky to be part of the M&A process with Moog, and during that evaluation, me personally as an employee was very, very happy that they were the one who ended up purchasing us. We have very similar philosophies on employees. We consider them very much assets, and so we really like that aspect of it. But it is a different market for the Moog Aviation division. So they're just kind of coming in and looking at what we do, our sales channels. They don't utilize dealers, for example. So this isn't their show, but it is very much our bread and butter, and we require qualified dealers to do the installations for our products. So it's them getting to understand kind of that market side of things. But there's a lot of collaborations. I think Moog is very, very interested in helping us with the research and development side of things and moving that forward. So I think over the next 5 years, you're going to see a lot of technology advancements from Genesys being a Moog company.
Outstanding. How would you evaluate your GA positioning right now? GA has been kind of a toss-up. There have been some folks that have been dominant in this industry for a while, and they're taking that for granted. Do you see opportunities?
I do. I think in general aviation, it is a lot about building relationships. It is very much about customer support,
Big time.
and that's really what we want to focus on with the general aviation market. Is we really pride ourselves on that personal touch of customer support, and we continue to hire field service engineers for that very reason. So. I think there's definitely opportunities there to continue to thrive in general aviation, even if more competitors are kind of starting to show up in the market.
The business and commercial side, and you mentioned your interest in Part 25 and all. How is that proceeding? What is, without giving away everything here, what kind of strategies are you following?
So right now we're looking for the right partners for the Part 25 market.
Ooh, good luck.
Yes, thanks. Well, I mean, we're in discussions now, but I can't, say too much about that.
Just you, me, and that
yeah, just
camera.
yeah.
No sweat.
We'll whisper. We'll whisper. Ignore the mic that's attached.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oops.
Yes. Yeah. So we're looking for the right partners to find the right platforms. It's obviously a situation where most people are going to want to have a full avionics upgrade as well. So we are talking about EFIS and then potentially autopilot that integrates well with that. So it's an ongoing process. I wish we were closer, but it takes time. And STCs take a while.
And let's face it, this last year didn't help anybody.
It didn't. Yeah. We're very fortunate that on the Part 23 side, we have our own ODA, so it helps out with our STC process. But for Part 25, it would be a full FAA program.
How are you finding staffing right now in this industry? We were talking to Mike Adamson the other day, and there's a strong emphasis right now on training the next generation.
Yes.
Obviously, you folks in the position that you have, you're looking for talent as fast as you can find it.
Yes.
But the input says right now that it's getting increasingly tough to find.
It is, and I look at myself, I'm going to date myself because this is my 20th AEA, and I was so excited when I had my first one in 2001, and I look around now and I'm looking for the me's 20 years ago.
Bingo.
And they're just not here anymore, and I don't know if that's because we're not getting the word out of what positions are here and how exciting and rewarding these jobs are.
It's a great industry to get into.
Right,
too.
absolutely. So I'm hoping that with some initiatives that AEA is doing, I know that AOPA is also trying to step up their game with educating younger people in high schools to choose aviation as a career path. And I fully support that and hope that, because you're absolutely right. We have many job openings right now, and it is a struggle sometimes to find the right candidate. And one of my first questions that I normally ask is, do you love aviation and why? And and it's important for me to have that feedback of, yes, when I was a kid I went flying, or I love looking at airplanes, or when there's one in the sky I have to look up, and that kind of thing. Yeah,
grab those people.
Yeah, and they must be out there. We just need to get the word out that come join us.
Are we educating future candidates as well as we should? Are there things that should be done?
There are things that should be done. Yeah, I don't think even the counselors in high school really have an understanding of what the jobs are and the capabilities are. And with a lot of schools now offering a lot more technology-based courses in high school, I think we need to start trying to get in more information on some of the technology advanced opportunities there are, whether it's being a mechanic, or whether it's being a DO 178 software engineer, or it's designing the next aircraft type. But there's a lot of exciting things that kids can do, and this future is going to, the industry is going to change over the next 10-20 years with unmanned flight and all that kind of things. Yes, yeah.
Because it's obvious that we're going to be dealing more and more with either reduced pilot or autonomous aircraft. We're going to, good grief, Airbus is even talking about a single pilot 350.
Right.
Which is kind of a real mind warp on that one. There are extraordinary opportunities. Yes, there's a tremendous amount of money being thrown around for pie in the sky.
Right.
But it only takes a couple of slices of that pie to really work for all of a sudden an industry changes overnight.
Right.
And we are on the cusp. The next 3 to 5 years are going to be extraordinary.
Yes.
So what's Genesys doing about that?
Not anything that I can talk too much about, but I'm sorry.
You
Don't kick me out.
Secrets.
Yes.
It's not fair.
I know. But I can tell you that we are very much keeping an eye on it. And we're super excited about it. So again, when I mentioned we should be seeing some technology from us in the next 5-ish years, you can probably make that correlation.
Well, what's nice is with the different markets that you're in, and then you add to it the rep you built up in the military community, which is with AFWorks and everything else. Let's face it, they're leading bleeding edge on a lot of this, so you are in an interesting position at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
I could just imagine behind closed doors what's going on. So
yeah, we worked hard since 2014 to really bring the Genesys Aerosystems brand out, and we really have found by word of mouth that we are the avionics selection of choice for the special missions market when it comes to a modern avionics suite.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
I have asked everybody who's been up here over the last 2 days about what this year meant to them, what it did, how you survived, and more important, how it changes you and your companies as a result. So now, your turn. You're on the hot seat.
I'm sure it will be very similar to other answers perhaps, but as most companies did, we sent a lot of people home to work. Our repair station and our manufacturing folks, who if anybody's watching, want to thank very much, because we couldn't do it without you guys. They had to go to the office, but everybody else was able to work from home, and it was really refreshing to see how well people were able to cope with doing that. Zoom meetings were very successful, things of that nature. So we were able to kind of move on almost seamlessly with even the tragedies that were happening in the outside world. I think all of us in sales really missed traveling, because I would get to about 3 weeks and start getting antsy to get somewhere. And so that was very difficult to mentally overcome. But yeah, we're excited to get back out there. When I was at the first Nighter party, I took pictures of everybody in the ballroom, and I thought, this is what avionics looks like opening back up, and I'm excited. I'm excited to get back out there, and I think the attendance here proves that everybody else is too. So our company was very fortunate that we didn't have to take any drastic measures when this whole thing came out, and our business survived quite well during the pandemic. So I'm hoping everybody else did as well. So that's all I can say about that.
How do you think this changes you as a company for the future?
The pandemic?
Yes, just everything you learned, everything you had to do. What do you keep from that? What did you learn? How do you think you and the industry changes?
I think for the company standpoint, we are not as rigid about, the coming into work thing, and I think that will continue. There will be, certain positions that need to be there, but it's not going to be as much about you need to be here, Monday through Thursday, because we have every Friday off. But from a company standpoint, I don't think it changes much except for kind of that acceptance, if you know what I mean. And from the industry standpoint, I think it's going to be interesting to see how people continue to purchase. Are they going to maybe accept more information on Zoom calls or finding things online, because trade shows haven't been for a year and a half? And do they miss that going and touching and feeling of the equipment at trade shows, or are they going to want more virtual information and that kind of thing? So I think that's something that remains to be seen.
Yeah, it's an interesting process. We were talking to Kevin Hayes from Alto, and he was talking about when he does, when he does their audio surveys and so forth in the aircraft, they actually started doing it remotely for a while.
Yeah.
Which kind of blew me away. Pretty interesting that they had enough accuracy overall to be able to do that and change it. And now to them, it's an additional way of reaching out to customers who don't have a travel schedule or don't know where they're going to be from one day to the next, but hey, we can pipe you in and off you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
Absolutely, but I'm hoping that we still get to have that face-to-face interaction.
Oh, boy.
I've missed seeing people's smiles.
Oh man,
so
especially
yeah.
here. This industry, this part of the industry is such a group of crazies.
It is.
We have so much fun. We love them all dearly. Well, except for one or two. But seriously, they're amazing people, and AEA has done an extraordinary job of keeping this all under control under, again, extraordinary circumstances.
Right.
And to see this the way it is just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jamie, we so much appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
I wish you continued success. We're looking forward to seeing everything you do from here on out. Of course, your NPI, like everybody else, will be broken off into segments, and
Yes.
they'll be available over the next few days on YouTube, Vimeo, and 70 of our other outlets, including our Roku and Fire TV outlets now.
Excellent.
Yeah, pretty cool. So, if you aren't famous yet, you will be. I mean, everybody knows Jamie around here, so there you go.
Thanks. I am Googleable.
Yes, so again, thank you so much.
Aero-News Network's coverage of the 64th Annual AEA International Convention and Trade Show, live from Dallas, Texas, is brought to you in part by the following sponsors.